The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
My work is on the water. Free diving, throw no line is how I survive. Listen, from foggy to yellowtail, from jackfish to killer whale, I jump in my dingy boat and I head on down the coast. I need.
Good morning this morning, and welcome back to Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, your station for fresh news, smart talk all day. It's Wednesday, the 23rd of October, and you are on the clock with Erin, Greene. I gotta say thank you to my producer for choosing that song this morning. Over the last few months, I've had experiences where I have observed people heralding this song as the next Bahamian classic, and I agree with them. I want to say, like, a moment of recognition for my boy, LeVar Pratt, a fisherman. He's somewhere in heaven looking down on us. Now, mind you, he came up in a Jehovah's Witness family. So that was not necessarily his belief. But I know there's a fisherman heaven. I know there's a heaven for fishermans up there. And I know he down up there looking down here at us. I'm going to say good morning to all the men and women that make their living on the water. Use a boatman, a seaman. Good morning. Also, I got to say happy birthday, belated happy birthday to the one Kiaris Mitchell. I come from a special family. I am both Hannah Hasty Tynes and Mitchell. And in our little Corinne Mitchell enclave, we have 4 sets of Hannahs and Mitchells, and Kiaris Mitchell is one of them. Happy birthday to my good cousin Kiaris Mitchell. Her birthday was the 6th of October. Another quick greeting. Congratulations to my cousin, I grew up calling her Auntie, Brenda Knowles, recipient of a Spotlight Award, the Spotlight Award at the most recent SAC Lighthouse Ball. Congratulations, Brenda Knowles. Also, I have to say, congratulations to 2 of Bernard Leon Greene's great-grandchildren, maybe the smartest of the Hasty clan at this moment, maybe, but they gain each other strong competition. I'm going to say congratulations to Kylea Greene for winning the Ascension Spelling Bee. And we got to say congratulations to Camden Greene for achieving the position of primary school head boy at Walter Parker Primary School. Congratulations, my little grand nieces and nephews. Congratulations. Okay, another quick note before we get into a slew of headlines and stories for today. Residents of a Southern Family Island have reached out and indicated to me that outside of the island of Inagua, it seems that no telecommunications technicians have been sent or assigned to any of those islands in 2 years. People are logging complaints. People are without service. People are waiting for service to be installed. All manner of issues. And apparently, the respective companies are unable or unwilling to send technicians to these islands. And I think it's now time to remind all business people in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, that this is an archipelago. And while the government has not encoded it, they've not entrenched it in law, they certainly do speak about these concepts of equity and equality and access throughout the archipelago. How are you running a whole business and you have customers paying money, but you can't seem to assign a technician? The residents of the Southern Territory beg your attention to this matter. All right. And then as we get going, let me get this live read out of the way. This November, the Nassau Guardian is celebrating 180 years. And we want to thank you, our loyal readers, for helping to make this one of the oldest newspapers in the region. We want you to be a part of our Vision Challenge giveaway promotion, beginning October 28th through November 22nd. All you need to do is find the hidden Nassau Guardian 180 years logo printed every day in the Nassau Guardian newspaper, and you could win prize money. Just purchase your daily Nassau Guardian newspaper every day beginning Monday, October 28th. Find the hidden 180th Nassau Guardian logo. Cut out the page. Mark the spot. Write your name and phone number on that clipping. Drop off your entries at our offices on Carter Street in Oaksfield. And every Friday, that's November 1st, November 8th, November 15th, and November 22nd, one drawing will take place to pick the lucky winner. It's that simple. The Nassau Guardian 180th Anniversary Vision Challenge Giveaway. I'm going to set my car to autopilot. We stop here every day, make sure we get our paper, and we drop off our clipping. I got a text here saying, Miss Greene, the weather has changed, but don't tell nobody because they may stop bathing. Some people call it conservation, conserving water and electricity, minimizing our use of these resources. Now, let's get into the headlines for today. Like I said, we got lots to talk about. I want to start with this headline here from last week. It was kind of a shocker, pun intended. Colby Davis, capacity charge will reflect cost of power purchase agreement. Capacity charge will reflect cost of power purchase agreement. That's Nassau Guardian, 18th of October. That's Friday of last week. Minister of Energy and Transport, JoBeth Colby Davis, said yesterday that the costs associated with BPL's power purchase agreement with Bahamas Utilities Holding Limited will be calculated and paid for via a capacity charge. A capacity charge is the rate customers pay to ensure a sufficient supply of energy is available on a power grid during peak hours of electricity usage. That's the bulk of what I want to read. I'd like to invite listeners to call in and share their thoughts about this. The number to call, 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, 242-300-5720 for Family Island listeners. And the text line powered by BTC, 422-GR96. It's 422-4796. So there are two statements here that I think require interrogation, and they kind of buck up against each other. They don't make sense the way that they are positioned in this article. The minister says that the costs associated with the agreement will be calculated and paid for via a capacity charge. So we're going to see a new thing called a capacity charge, and it will be used to pay for the power purchase agreement. The next sentence says, A capacity charge is the rate customers pay to ensure a sufficient supply of energy is available on a power grid during peak hours of electricity usage. Now, to be honest with you, right, I thought, would we pay, right? We pay to ensure that we have access to electricity. But we pay salaries to, quote, ensure a sufficient supply of energy is available on a power grid during peak hours of electricity usage. That's what we, isn't that what we pay? If there is an industry expert available to call in or text in with an explanation, I would appreciate it, because I am confused. First of all, why would a capacity charge be used to pay for the power purchase agreement? And like, what do you mean? Do you mean the cost of convening meetings? Producer, we could go to the phone line. Do you mean the cost of convening meetings? Do you mean the cost of the food that's been catered for specific sessions? Let's go to the phone line. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Erin. Class, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How you doing?
Upset.
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean by what you just read?
I'm trying to figure it out because, again, let me reiterate it. The first sentence says that the costs associated with the power purchase agreement will be calculated and paid for via a capacity charge. In the next sentence, it tells us a capacity charge is the rate customers pay to ensure a sufficient supply of energy is available on a power grid during peak hours of electricity usage. Now, first off, let me just say, those two statements are not quotations from the minister. This is the reporter, right, telling us this.
So, what is the surcharge for that is already on the bill?
I think the surcharge is to pay for the fuel. Listen, as a systems analyst and a mathematician, as a child, from then I've wondered, why would I have to pay for the electricity and then to pay you for the fuel that you use to make the electricity? Because weren't we paying, like when we pay, doesn't the cost include the electricity?
So where is the VAT going that comes from all of isn't that a part of the maintaining? Or that's not a part of the maintenance? The VAT also that's collected.
Okay, so you're asking, is the VAT that's generated from electricity transactions, the sale of electricity, is that VAT diverted to a specific account earmarked for maintenance? That's what you're asking?
Yes, yes.
I don't know. I've never heard anybody indicate that either.
And also, so if this gonna happen now, so when should I actually expect a lower light bill? Is where I'm confused, because if you're telling me that it should bring down my bill, and now you're adding to my already high. I mean, I stopped calling it a bill a while back. My bad. I usually call it mortgage. My light mortgage.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Here's my thing as well, right? Earlier this month, maybe last week or the week before, the minister made a very bold statement, ensuring that we can see that the bills have dropped, right? Mm. And I asked I asked several questions, but one of them is, can you tell us how much of the bill has dropped because of a decrease in consumption, because we are now entering a cooler period? Right? How much of the reduction in my bill is due to the fact that I'm using less electricity? And how much is due to the amendments or reforms that you said that you made?
Yeah, I don't get it. But see, by the time they present to the public this Pike deal, mm-hmm. And this is probably why they had IRCA set aside from meddling into or
let's be careful with our language. That's perhaps the rationale between the structural, what appears to be a structural separation between entities.
because there are things that they want to get in there and get done before ERCA can step in and have a say. Because I don't get it. I'm very confused and afraid that my light mortgage is now gonna be battling with my house mortgage.
There you go. I mean, that's how I. Thank you very much, caller. Hey, that's how I grew up. I could be honest with y'all. I grew up in the Bahamas where your light bill is equal to or comparable to your mortgage. That's the Bahamas I grew up in. And then for over almost 2 decades now, continual rhetoric and lip service about the improvements, and every time your bill go down, the bill shoot right back up. Let's go to the phone line, and then I get back to this article. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Erin. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Awesome. Very interesting conversation with the previous caller.
Yes, sir.
Two things that I want to note here. Firstly, I thank the energy entity for separating the cost per kilowatt hours as well as the fuel surcharge and what they're actually charging us, because then basically we can see with our own eyes and compare whether the surcharges are going up or whether they're going down. We all are now of the impression that it is really the energy, the cost for the surcharge that causes the bill to fluctuate up or down. And, I have, to be honest with you, the bill may go down for a certain period of time for 1 or 2 persons, but for the remainder of persons, if you listen to the general conversation, is that the bill really isn't really going down at all. It may go down for a period, except for the cooler months where you would use less electricity because you're not burning or using your AC units. You're not using a whole lot of other stuff. But your bill may go down temporarily for that short period of time, but then it goes right back up again. So everybody's eyes are now looking at their bills from that aspect. The second part that I would like to talk about is, a group of us in my community, we actually started talking about the aspect of perhaps see if we can solicit or purchase a piece of land and really petition the government to allow us to put down our own little solar farm to try and bring some energy relief into our communities by doing a tie-in to some of the homes. But yet, of course, we understand that the bureaucracy and the red tape and having those agencies then to get involved to tell us whether, yes, you can do it or no, we can't do it, then that becomes a factor. So how is the Bahamian people then supposed to help themselves when the bureaucracy or the red tape and jumping hoops then plays a major factor on whether we go forward or we remain as we are? So the Bahamian people are thinking. We're thinking about how to bring about the relief from the grid as well as bring relief to ourselves. But then it goes right back to the agencies and the policies that's in place that either prevents you from going forward or causing you to remain where you are. But just some consideration for we as Bahamians to take into account if we intend to go forward. Thanks for taking my call this morning.
Absolutely. I like the idea. Buy a piece of land, put a solar farm on it, right? Mitigate the energy crisis and decrease some of your costs. I appreciate I don't want to call it consternation. I appreciate the concern, right? I don't want to call it hesitancy. I want to call it forethought. That you want to be careful. You want to make sure that you're not jeopardizing your investment by stepping outside of the scope of the law or the existing policies. But sometimes you got to have a Western Island state of mind. You got to have like a Albany, like a Venetian West, like a Old Fort Bay, like a Lyford Key state of mind, when you approach these matters. Anyway, let's go to the phone line and then some text, and I want to move on to another story. Good morning, caller.
Yes, how you doing? Ms. Greene.
Yes, sir.
Language is very, very important. Let me give you a good example. I remember when I was involved with a number of relationships. I had a living partner at the time that had a daughter. And she used to ask me about this other girl until one day she met the other girl, and she had a daughter with her, and the other girl had a daughter with her, and they both looked alike because they had the same father, me. She came home in a rage, and she screamed at me, "You told me that you were not sleeping with the other girl. I asked her, what was the question you asked me? And she said, every time I asked you, were you sleeping with her, you would say no. I said, the answer is still no. Because when I was with her, I wasn't sleeping.
Ah, boy. It's a matter of trust.
Right. So the point is that she asked me, what I said, when we were together, we didn't sleep at all.
Yeah.
If I spent 2 days. So the point is that when you ask him about this electricity rate decrease, the easiest thing for the minister to do is just to simply post the rates on a site or bring it. Don't tell me 90,000 people, because again, it could be consumption, it could be variations. But the price that you charge a person this month, the month before that, and the month before that, just post it.
Yep.
And it wouldn't matter whether my consumption changed or not, because it can show that this week the item was 9 cents, and last week it was 11 or 10.
Right.
And that automatically says that it went down for everybody. Because my question is, if the rate decrease went down, wouldn't it went down for 100%? This is why she used the language. People saw, 90,000 people saw their light bill decrease. They didn't see the rate decrease. They saw their consumption or some other thing decreased. And so it's a language thing.
Absolutely.
Because if the rate went down, 100% of the people would have seen a rate decrease.
Thank you.
And so she played a language deal on us. No one saw a rate decrease where the light bill went down. It's not the same. Similar, it's not the same. Thank you so much.
Thank you very, very much for your contribution. I want to read briefly from this article again, the text, and then we move on. She added, referencing the Minister Colby Davis, she added the documents outlining the overall costs of the PPA will be attached to the agreement and tabled in Parliament at a later date. When pressed on the PPA not having a defined cost and based on figures that are yet to be determined, Colby Davis said, quote, the cost for the capacity is already set in the PPA. So you set the number and then you set the cost of the fuel outrightly. You don't enter into it blindly and then you don't write a blank check. These costs are laid out in the PPA, so you'll be able to see that once we table all of the costs related. And that's how you will know how we calculated it. Remember, this is a pass-through, and it's always been that way. So what you use is what you pay for. Close quotes. The PPA will be a 30-year agreement and will have clearly defined key performance indicators. I just want to know, first of all, wasn't that a lovely piece of prose? Wasn't that just I don't know what it means. I'm not sure if the minister knows what it means either, but it was beautifully crafted. And for that, I say well done. Also, the last agreement that I remember being referenced as a part of this energy reform process was a 25-year agreement, So I am asking, are there any experts in the industry that are willing or available to talk to me in private and then possibly as a part of a public conversation so we can ensure that we understand the terms, the languages, the mechanisms, the infrastructure that we are discussing? All right, let's go to the text line. Text says, did your power go out for 4 hours yesterday, Erin? Capacity charge? I know some people in Johnson Road area power was out for a significant amount of time. How does this make sense? So they give us $30 now, they take him back 80. I agree, we pay for what we use. Why does it matter what time we use it? I want to know, why would we be paying for a PPA? Why would we be paying for the agreement? And what is included in those costs? Valet parking? The valet parking for the people to go to the fancy hall for the meeting? Is that included in the cost? Here's another text, surcharge for the fuel capacity surcharge for the generators, question mark. Another text, good day, combine the solar farm with a vertical hydroponic farm for the community. Great idea. Another text, morning, Erin. I've come to the realization that many people in this country don't understand their light bills. The only thing they do is look the bill amount. Your bill is based on your kilowatt hour usage and the cost of fuel at that period. The bill clearly shows the charge of each kilowatt. From July the rates have decreased twice. Dear texter, I really appreciate your contribution. I take it as a sincere contribution. There's a little shade, but it's okay. I appreciate it. Here's the thing. I attempted to learn how to read the light bill, beef up my literacy. And then I realized that you don't know when the light bill come in. You don't know when it coming in the mail. And don't talk to be online now. They just get online. And the websites still don't function properly. Okay? Let us not act as if this would have been the easiest process for everybody in the country. Also, I have a suspicion, I suspect, with only my casual and personal observation, that they're still estimating light bills. I'm just saying. I could check my cameras, but I can't tell you the last time BPL staff been through to read our meter. But I do appreciate the text. One more. Good morning, Erin. Does those ruthless workers at BPL know God is watching? Listen, texter, not all of them. But the set who came with their bucket truck and then cut all the low-lying limbs off my Ganep tree but didn't use the bucket truck to go up to the top to collect Ganep, maybe them set. Even though services are inconsistent, they turned me off last week, demanded $2,900 on a $4,800 bill. That is $1,000 per month. Now that was $300 per month that I tried to, but $1,000 on per month since it jumped, and a payment of $2,600 disappeared from their outside kiosk. Then told me the next day they didn't turn it back on because I need to put more. Sorry, not sorry. I ain't gonna call the person name, but I can remember it forever, texter. I can remember it forever. So you're saying that a payment that you made apparently disappeared from one of their outside kiosks. I would tell you right now, go and contact the Office of the Financial Ombudsman. Go contact them. See, if the Office of the Ombudsman was up and running, then perhaps you could turn to them for recourse, for assistance, for a path to a solution. But we have not implemented the ombudsman position yet. It's not fully, the act is not fully enforced. In fact, Friday the 18th of October, the headline reads, Government Preparing Implementation Plan for Ombudsman Act. I reiterate, I don't like, you preparing an implementation plan? You didn't have it while you were building, when you were putting together the act, y'all weren't putting together the implementation plan at the same time? Anyway, I want to read from that article again. I had a response when the AG said that the ombudsman, he noted, an ombudsman is a neutral fact finder, not an advocate for one side or the other. And I disagreed inherently with that. And then it turns out maybe the Attorney General also disagrees with his own statement. After the break, we're going to go back into that article, and then we got a whole bunch of other headlines we need to run to, like 8 months for sexual assault of an infant, flooding. I mean, we could try, but it's impossible. I don't like when I hear politicians say things like that. Anyway, caller, I see that you just popped on the line. Producer, can we take that, or we need to go to the break? Let's take that call. Caller, you lucky you got 30 seconds. Good morning, caller. You still there? I guess you hung up when you heard the music. Please call back after the break. You guys stay tuned. Guardian Radio 96.9 FM on the clock. We'll be right back.
Just sign in and have a seat, please. They'll call you in for your x-ray shortly.
That's why they call it a waiting room. You won't have that problem at 4th Terrace Diagnostic Center or Imaging at Groner. We never schedule multiple appointments, so you'll be in and out in no time. And if your initial screening reveals a concern, our radiologist can conduct an alternative screening right then and there. Call 328-8157 to schedule an appointment at Fourth Terrace Diagnostic Center or Imaging at Grosvenor today.
Boy, why you look so mashed up like clothes at the washer?
No, boy, just a hard day, boy.
Hard day? What happened? The breakfast lady ran out of tuna and Gretzy.
We need to start joking about everything, you know. This serious, boy. This real serious, boy.
Boy, what's serious? Tell me.
All right, well, today, boss gave us, boy, one big contract. And nobody else get a chance and nobody say nothing.
Boy, you know that ain't right. You know government contracts ain't supposed to go that way.
Yeah, nobody's saying nothing. Boss man just tell people to sign the papers. Then he send me to meet his boy downtown and collect this envelope.
You need to tell somebody. You need to become a whistleblower.
You know I's a real man, but I never been a whistle. I be drunk all my life and junk, you know.
No way. A whistleblower is someone who tells people what they see when they see something wrong happening at work.
But I ain't no whistleblower and I ain't no snitch. I still white there, you know.
Boy, ain't nobody can know it's you. All you gotta do is call Crime Stoppers, or you could text them from inside the Crack Crime Bahamas app. They don't ask about you. And your call goes straight through to Miami, so nobody know you is. And if you text, your message get mixed up like Kong Salad.
Call 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands.
No matter who I marry, no matter where my wife gives birth, our children will be Bahamian, like me.
If I marry a man who's not Bahamian, I have to give birth in the Bahamas, or my children won't even be Bahamian like I am.
That don't even make sense.
That's why we had the referendum in 2016.
But the people vote no.
The government can still do something about it with ordinary legislation. And it needs to develop an action plan and timeline to hold another referendum to deal with gender inequality in the Constitution.
How we can make that happen?
Go to tiny.cc/nationality to support the campaign for equal nationality rights by Equality Bahamas.
Love the show? Want to give your support? Become a sponsor today. Call 302-2300 for our rates and packages. That's 302-2300. Become a sponsor on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Unequal gender nationality law is a violation of human rights and a failure of the government to meet its obligations. In 2018, the CEDAW Committee told the Bahamas to set a clear time frame for constitutional reform, to integrate the principle of gender equality into all laws, and to amend the Bahamas Nationality Act 1973 for Bahamian women and men to transmit citizenship on an equal basis. Join Equality Bahamas in demanding action now. Visit tiny.cc/nationality for more.
Sailboat, 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 sailboat. Now I got that chance. I got sail this boat. Good breeze blowing now. Oh, I got sport. I called to the boys. Hey, what you doing now? Come down and try your hand and see what you can do. Oh boy, you're scared. Oh boy, you're scared. So sailboat, sailboat, sailboat.
Good morning and welcome back. Once again, thank you, producer. Okay, so a couple texts in the break. A moment to think. A texter here responds and said, "No man, Greene, is no shade. It's a response to the person who talked about posting the rates monthly. But if you read your bill, you would see the rates. I've been receiving my bill online from before COVID. I can't tell you the last time I've set foot into BPL to pay a bill." Thank you for the text. Let me tell you all something. I think one of the greatest lessons I learned at QC was about in 8th grade, and it was a lesson in spatial awareness, even though at the time I didn't have the language to clearly articulate what it was. I wanted to be an astronaut. I was good with numbers. I grew up reading Popular Science and all kind of technical scientific magazine. My father would order all kinds of magazines and stuff. And I was doing a book report on the Challenger, the spaceship that exploded. The book was about Sally Ride, the teacher that was on the spacecraft when it exploded. And at the end of writing that book report, I realized that it didn't make this dream of being an astronaut didn't make sense to me at the moment, because it was not something that I could do in the Bahamas from the Bahamas, right? Because the Bahamas was not producing astronauts at that time. We didn't have a space program. We didn't have, at least I didn't have access to any advanced math programs. And in reading that and completing the book report, I realized that I could become an astronaut, but it may have been too late for me personally to start that journey. It's spatial awareness. And I wonder if the powers that be understand that they have a sense of space, a sense of spatial awareness. Do they understand what is required, right, to implement the policies and the new technologies that they would implement? And yes, electricity apparently is a new technology to these by them, right? And so when you say you've been receiving your bill online from before COVID, I want you to know that I live in a tech dead spot, right? My neighborhood was wired improperly, and we've experienced we still do nasty surges for decades to destroy everything in your house. The telecommunication services refuse to listen to the people that live in the area, including the woman who told me I was stupid in an IRCA meeting because they didn't know that I had fiber, even though I had been talking to IRCA about the lack of fiber service for a year and a half, right? So every time there's a nasty power surge, the telecommunications infrastructure gets damaged, right? And then I live on a hill in the eastern side of the island. So while most people know that the cutoff time for bathing is 10 p.m. in the east in 2024 in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, on my hill is 9 p.m., right? So when the telecommunications company gave me a power bank to use with my service, and they call them and tell them the power bank stopped working like one day after you gave it to us, they don't seem to care, right? But let's talk about spatial awareness. We've been living in an energy crisis for 30 plus years, and all people doing is importing electric stove. But now I got to talk about capacity charge, something I have to pay. To quote from the article, the rate customers pay to ensure a sufficient supply of energy is available on a power grid during peak hours of electricity usage. One of the most important lessons I learned at QC was spatial awareness. And from 10 feet back, 100 feet back, I could tell you the policies seem great, but you don't have the capacity to realize them. Okay, let's go to the phone line and then let's move on to the next story. Good morning, caller. Good morning, caller. You there?
Good morning, Erin.
Good morning, sir. How you do?
Don't blame me or my phone. It's the best phone. Might be a network that's the issue. Since you gave it away. Oh, speaking of infrastructure, network, and electricity, et cetera, issues, I knew that we would come full circle back in 1994 talking energy security.
Yeah.
You know, it's so sad. We could have, in front of a couple hundred people in the Hilton, John Boswick and myself suggested that we float a liquid natural gas clean energy barge into the Bahamas with 300 to 400 megawatt of power, more than we need at the time. It would have cut your electricity bill in half, and you could have sold that energy to the cruise ships. So your power company, with your people employed, would have made a profit. Instead, we're doing Mickey Mouse things, and it looks like we want to divest ourselves of utilities. Why would we do that? So I'm going to leave you with this thought. There are some people on this island that had an $800 light bill beginning middle of the summer, and they took that bill down with solar to $20.
All right, thank you.
Living proof that you don't have to go through what you're about to go through. Prepaid meters that probably will cost you more per kilowatt than a regular meter. Oh, and listen.
Don't worry, Graham. Don't watch nothing.
Get the Starlink, and then you won't have to worry about them fiber tanks going down.
Don't watch nothing.
Okay.
Look here.
Have a good one.
If we return to prepaid meters, every politician need to just quickly pack up their bag and resign and go home. Every single one. It's like they continue to redefine what failure means, so that in hopes of escaping, its definition. Anyway, we got lots to push through right now. This headline, very quickly: American man charged with friend's death in an ATV crash. A 21-year-old American man was granted $40,000 cash bail yesterday after being accused of causing the death of his friend in a fatal ATV accident at Arawaki on Sunday. Full stop right there. So on my way to work this morning, I was driving next to and behind a open-sided sport utility vehicle. It wasn't an ATV, but it was the open-sided one. And I could tell that no one inside the vehicle had on their seatbelt. So I, feeling the weight of Sunday's story on me, shouted to them, make sure you put on the seatbelt. The young lady snapped her head back and scowled, we got on our seatbelt. Right? So anyway, following them, and I could see the police on Market Street ahead of us, and we stopped at the light. And so I say to them one more time, we had a tragic accident this weekend with a vehicle similar to this. Please be careful. And as the light turned green and they crossed over the light and they saw the police, all of them quickly put on their seatbelt, right? Imagine, Sunday, a tourist died on an ATV. Wednesday's paper, the other person on the vehicle is charged, accused of causing the death of his friend. And it appears as if the operators of these businesses that rent out these vehicles to tourists don't care. Again, there's some really hard-working, dedicated young people trying to make a way in these companies. But y'all, whoever's managing these companies, y'all think y'all is the police who don't have to follow the road rules? I mean, they have to follow the road rules, They do, but they pretend like they don't. Your staff are rude, they're belligerent, they risk people's lives, ignoring basic traffic controls. I don't work for Ministry of Tourism. And hear the sound of my voice right now as I live in this plantation, forced to consume the thoughts and dreams of the tourism sector and the Development Corporation Fund. I don't get paid to take care of tourists and look out for tourists. You do. And I'm not going to risk injury avoiding the foolishness that y'all are creating in the road. Okay, let's go to the phone line quickly. Good morning, caller. You there? Good morning, caller. Producer, good morning. Oh, I'm sorry, we lost you. Okay, we're going to hit the text line very quickly before we move on to another story. These people are worse than infidels, brazen serpents, and shameless hypocrites. The whole world is delusional when it comes to PLPs. The Auditor General report was garbage to them. I mean, it was the chair of the local organizing committee that called the report garbage. It was the Minister of Youth, Sports, and Culture that tabled an unaudited report in the face of the audited report being tabled and the LOC chair calling it garbage. S&P report was just another opinion to them. Now a judicial ruling from a high court in a first world country is just horse wash to them. These PLP are too special. Well, they didn't, I don't think they said horse wash, but the commentary I see arising suggests that they're not, they're taking it as seriously as left unread. Producer, let's prep that next caller. Now, the text from a Google search, ATVs flip easily, mainly because they have a high center of gravity and narrow wheelbase, which makes them less stable than some other vehicles. Did the rental company take precautions to adjust for the risk, inclusive of vehicular modifications and driver education? That tourists should sue their behinds off for pain and suffering. Here's a point. Why are we allowing off-road vehicles on road? Good morning, caller. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Miss Greene. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. How you do?
Thank God for life. Miss Greene, I listened to you over the years on this radio, and just sitting down listening to you this much, I don't know if you ever thought about it or if you ever ventured that way. You would have make a good chief police officer when it comes down to enforcing the law.
I only want to do traffic duty, and they don't even have to assign me a motor vehicle. I'll walk to work.
They need you in there to deal not just with traffic duty, But I wonder how you will manage with all the corruption we're going, not just on the police force, but, in authority to make decisions and put things in the right position how they're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're a good enforcer. And if I was the government, people like you, how do you say that better than that? Caring persons like you who care about what's going on in this country, we'd have been in a good position if we had more persons like that.
Well, I tell you,
When it comes down to enforcement, not just on the police force in traffic, with crime, with dealing with corruption, people who can't be bought, people who could put right way right. And this fiber thing, Miss Greene, this fiber thing, I mean, and maybe where blindness have nothing to do with it, but maybe I just ain't have enough education to appreciate what the fiber is all about. From they bring this fiber thing, I don't want to say they lie to us, but they tell us that when the current go off, we can still be able to use our phones. I don't know, y'all who could see what able-bodied
the power bank, okay, see the power, that's what they told me too. I certain that's what I was told, right? But it turns out that the power bank can only power the tower.
Only power the tower.
Right, so the phone line that now only runs on electricity if you have that fiber service is no longer available. You have to buy your own power bank.
Where they sell it?
You, man, look here, I can't advertise.
No. They have a duty, not you. They have a duty to maybe let us know, because I know me and you, or I'm not the only one who don't be able to use the phone when the phone goes. And some people out there who might have a little standby generator or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Cable don't even work. The cable is go off like they ain't get no gas in their generator. You say that there's only a power for the tower. That don't deal with the cable too, eh?
Yeah, like that's the internet. But you could have internet and TV if your TV is plugged into its own power bank. I tell them, all I want to know is that my phone...
Power bank, or do you have electricity from a generator or whatsoever, you won't get the cable or be able to use your phone if you don't have the power bank.
Well, no, once you have power, right, from your generator, because a generator is a huge power bank.
No, that don't work for me, ma'am.
Oh, boy.
The cable don't work, and the phone is go off after maybe 30 minutes or something like that.
Okay.
I think you would be a good enforcer. If I was the government, I would hire you quick.
Thank you.
Like you wouldn't even want to get paid for enforcing the law.
At this
Keep
point,
up the good work, Ms. Greene.
Thank you very much. And I tell you what it is. The government is unable to identify the resources that it has available to them in the staff, in the human resource that they have right now, because they don't value empathy as a skill. Right? They have lost so much of what they could do and what they're supposed to be doing. They don't understand that empathy and spatial awareness are a part of critical analysis. And that's what's missing. People are good-hearted. They're frustrated with a system that's just overwhelmingly dysfunctional. But listen, I got to stick a pin there. I got to read this headline. Man sentenced to 8 months in prison for indecent assault of 4-year-old girl. A man was sentenced to 8 months in prison for indecently assaulting a 4-year-old girl, while a woman was fined $500 for failing to report the suspected abuse. That was a moment of silence for those who cannot protect themselves but have to rely on the adults in their community to protect them. Kevin Delancey, 53, was convicted of indecently assaulting the minor on October 1st, 2023. Catherine Delancey, 52, was convicted of failing to report the matter. The pair initially pleaded not guilty before Assistant Chief Magistrate Carolyn Voigt Evans on October 6, 2023. The defense made a no-case submission. The defendant's attorney requested another adjournment, but the prosecution objected, noting that counsel had already asked for one on this matter. The court ruled that justice should not be delayed any longer. Full stop. I guess the responsible thing to do would be to say we need the details of the offense, the incident, to be able to determine whether the sentence is fair. Let me tell you something. I have no fear in saying that 8 months for indecent assault of a 4-year-old girl don't make any sense to me. $500 for failing to report the suspected abuse does not suggest that it's a deterrent. Also, both the man and woman involved, producer, we could go to the phone line quickly, carry the same name. Is this the father of the child? Is this the uncle of the child? Is this a stranger with the same name? Is this a more distant or extended family member? Good morning, caller.
Yes, good morning, Miss Greene.
Morning.
Yeah, that's a quick way to induce insanity into a father. I know that. You understand me? But what I want to touch on is some things you and Graham. Graham was highlighting how to financially reward the officers for carrying out traffic duties, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you even remember. You remember months ago and even years ago, you was always talking about they wouldn't pay attention to these traffic scenarios until a tourist gets hurt.
Uh-huh.
I remember you saying it over and over, Miss Greene.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I like to highlight the fact that I talk about city ordinances, which will entail all of this BS, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was driving somewhere the other day. I can't even remember because BS is everywhere, so it's hard for me to. People parking on the sidewalks and obstructing views as you need to come out of the corner. So they're parked. Let's say you're coming out of a corner and you're heading south.
First of all, parking on the sidewalk is an offense. Blocking the view of the intersection is an offense.
But it's not the matter of duty of care, Erin. The question is if they care. We know they don't care. Give thanks.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. It's obvious they don't care. They don't care about the disabled. They don't care about pedestrians. They don't care about little children who have to walk everywhere in the road, and poor people that get walk their children everywhere and tote their groceries home. They just do not care. Text line quickly, but before that, this one more headline. I just got to read the headline because I don't want y'all to think that JoBeth Colby Davis is the only poet in the PLP. Headline, today's Tribune. Flooding mitigation a priority, but eradicating it an impossible dream. I just don't understand it. Nobody in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas would let me get a job, would hire me, and then allow me, the employee, to change the terms of the job description every day. But eradicating it is an impossible dream. Now, mind you, the headline, there's no full stop, so maybe that wasn't the end of his sentence or his thought. Dear sir, I'm going to pull for you for the next show I do some examples of countries that are even further below sea level than we are, that have implemented strategies to maintain a habitable living environment for its citizens. Mr. Clay Sweeting, sir, please stop. We like you. Family Island determination is what will drive this country forward. But Works Minister Clay Sweeting said flood mitigation is a crucial priority for his ministry, but it is unrealistic to promise complete eradication of flooding. Torrential rains have left some roads impassable this year, causing significant flooding in low-lying areas of New Providence. Whenever anybody comes to my house because I offer a job and they accept the job, and then they look at me and say, but how you could expect me to do the job, and as they put in the money in their pocket. Another text, just as we end the show, Erin, please help. Who regulates where you can place a home generator, i.e. a neighbor is making preparations to install a gas generator about 25 feet from our bedroom windows. See, these are things that should already be added into the building codes, considering we know there's an energy crisis for the last 30 years. People who are building, installing home generators should be required to house them in a soundproofed or sound dampening installation. It's like y'all didn't think you would have to think about these things. Texas says, that's right. I noticed recently that BTC cell service goes down if the power goes out. I don't remember that to have been the case. It's like they don't have generators, and why did the power go out yesterday? The sky was blue with puffy white clouds. Oscar was miles away. Did that pigeon land on Focal's new generator? Again, so I tell you what, personal experience, I was pleading and begging BTC to come and attend to their infrastructure in my neighborhood in hopes that that is the reason why they can't deliver the service that I was paying for. And for over a year, I had to listen to the tower closest to my house groan like a hungry politician for food, right? For over a year, I had to beg and cuss and ask the people if they wasn't just going to come and check out the tower because it sounds like it's dying. Look at God. Turns out the tower was a big part of the problem. Yep, Texter. A plantation. Anyway, last text, Lady Greene, I love to see persons trying to make a living, but the ATV on the public road is not a good mix. Nope, not at all. But we could fix it with proper regulations. That's all. And since we're already paying people to do that, how about we just encourage and compel them to do their jobs? Anyway, you guys, thank you for joining me this morning. Guardian Radio AM with C.A. Nuri is up next.
Island man don't play in the harbor. I sail them up and down. I sail them up to Borky and cycle back around. So sailboat, 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 sail. Sail them in the harbor. I'll sail them in the keys. I'll sail them on the ocean. I'll sail them all day long. I'll sail them up to Borky. I'll sail them up and down.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.